Welcome back to the 9 p.m. edition of the Urban Debate on Mirror Now. The Supreme Court has slammed Supertech, builder Supertech, after its home buyers were not returned their money in the Noida Twin Tower demolition case. The top court told the builder that it needs to pay the home buyers back by Monday or the directors could be sent to jail. And that's a very, very important point that has been made by the Supreme Court today in this particular case. It has also told the builder to not make any deductions, as home buyers had complained that Supertech was in fact deducting money. Last year, the court had ordered Supertech to reimburse the money paid for flats in Twin Towers within 2 months. Today, the Apex Court has asked Noida Authority to finalize the agency which will be tasked to demolish the Twin Towers, directing them to respond by 17th of January. Last year, the Supreme Court had ordered the demolition of the Twin Towers in Noida due to violation of the construction laws. So with this ultimatum coming from the Supreme Court, are we seeing some hope among home buyers? Let's understand from this panel of experts joining us on the broadcast on Urban Debate this evening. Anish Agarwal, Advocate Supreme Court, Advocate on record. We have Jayant K, Bhushan, Senior Advocate Supreme Court, who has in fact fought for the home buyers in this particular case. Anand Gupta, Chairperson, Housing and RERA Committee to Builders Association of India, is going to be joining us. Ranjana Bharadwaj, Vice President, New Era Owners Welfare Association. Anupam Mishra, Supertech Eco Village homeowner, and a citizen's voice on the show this evening. Let's first begin the discussion with Jayant Bhushan. Mr. Bhushan, thank you for speaking with us here on Mirror Now. I want to understand from you first, with what the Supreme Court ordered today, pay back the home buyers the money that is their own money, their own hard-earned money, which they have not got back because they gave that money to buy the flats which they could never get, or the directors should be ready to face jail. Do you think that this is finally an ultimatum that has gone from the Supreme Court to Supertech?
Yes, it is. I mean, it's important that home buyers who have invested in the project get back their money. Actually, most home buyers have already got back their money because this case has been pending in the Supreme Court for the last several years before this judgment in August, where they upheld the Allahabad High Court judgment that these two buildings need to be demolished. And the reason why it was pending in the Supreme Court for so long was that anybody who wanted refund, the Supreme Court was sort of ensuring that refunds were given. Now, these are the sort of leftover people who had not opted for a refund at that stage. But once, of course, now the order for demolition has come, they have to be refunded. And that was the order of August of the Supreme Court, that it has to be demolished within 3 months. And before that, you must refund the monies. Now, despite that direction, neither has the demolition taken place, nor the demolition agency has been finalized, and nor have all the home buyers been refunded their money, which is why the Supreme Court was very angry today. It has listed the matter next Monday, there is a very short date, and said that you must refund the money and you must quickly finalize the agency to demolish.
Mr. Bhushan, how many home buyers are we talking about who still have not got their money, and how many were impacted in total? Do we have any such data?
Mr.
Bhushan, how
So these two buildings had about some 800 or 900 flats. I'm not sure how many had been sold, but maybe of the remaining people who need to be refunded their money, maybe about 200 or so.
So 200 home buyers are yet to get their hard-earned money back, and this is what the Supreme Court has ordered today, that they should be given their money in due time. Otherwise, the directors should be ready to face jail. Now, Mr. Anish Agarwal, I want to take your opening comments on what the Supreme Court observed today, and also if you could just tell us a little bit about the plight of these home buyers who had invested their hard-earned money, who are heartbroken today because they hoped they'll be able to get their dream home. That's what one really works for, but they never could get it.
like Mr. Bhushan said, the Honorable Apex Court has said that demolition agency has to be appointed as soon as possible, and the amount which has been paid by home buyers in the two towers that have to be demolished will have to be paid by Monday. Now, of course, a lot of home buyers had invested their hard-earned money. However, they have had several opportunities to get refunds over several past years after the High Court judgment in 2014. So, to say that the home buyers have not had any opportunity at all is not correct. However, still nonetheless, because they have paid the money, therefore they need to get the refund, and there is an order. So there is no reason why the refund should not be paid within time. And now it is high time that it should be paid. That is why Supreme Court has also given one final warning.
Okay, Anupam Mishra, you're the citizens' voice on the show. Now, it is one project, of course, that we are talking about of Supertech. I believe you have followed this case since the beginning. Can you tell us a little bit about the plight of these home buyers?
See, we are fighting this. If we are talking about the Supertech, that there is lots of projects of Supertech on the same situation. Like 1, 2, 3. These are the equivalent two projects where that we all are facing same issues. And from 4.5 years, we are on the same situations. Few are members, few are residents. They are not live as of now, so few are on a depression, and it's totally the game of the corruption. Here it's a pure because as our honorable Supreme Court already mentioned, that it's a fully corrupt, the Noida authorities and all. And this is not for the Noida authority also, this is for the Greater Noida authority, I can say, because it's not that one builder or one anything, but Supertech is one of the most I can say corrupt, because which we are closely monitoring from last 10 years, we can say, because when we buy this project, from the day one, that we are struggling with these two. Nowadays, people are facing they are living illegally in the particular flat, without any registry. If anything happened, for example, due to any mishappening, then they will not get any kind of insurance benefits or anything. So means totally illegal type of the people's 25,000 residents are living eco village 1, 2, 3. They are also on the same situations, because they they are still waiting for their home. Some waiting for the home, some some got home due to NIFOA's effort. The flat
So,
flat
Anupam Mishra,
associations,
you're telling
flat
us the
associations,
situation is similar in other projects of
other
Supertech as
societies
well?
projects. True, because it's totally in Eco Village One. If I am saying that there is a 470 crore dues of authorities, that they are not able to it's still it's a due of 470 crore for Eco Village One, 428 crore for Eco Village Two, and 406 crore for Eco Village Three. So it's three all three projects are under due. And when we are talking to the CEO, last I had a meeting with Greater Noida Authority CEO Narendra Bhushan. So on Monday, so he said that there will be a if you are going to tag that particular flat the dues, they said it will be around 45 to 75 lakhs per flat you need to pay. Then after you guys will be eligible to registered your flat. So you tell me for example, it's a very simple situation that we already paid 100% of the amount, means all the buyers already paid their 100% amount for their flat. And and the builders, what builders are doing, they just purchasing land again and again, because their capability to build only 5,000 square feet of the area. But now the situation is authorities offered them 1 lakh square feet area. So how they will manage? So it's a totally corruption from the starting of the development. Because if you see, it's a Noida, is what is Noida, right? It's a Noida is a totally industrial development authorities. Greater Noida is the same industrial development authority. But what happened, they ask these they they hope a better dream to the people of the Greater Noida or Noida, that we are going to improve the infrastructures of best infrastructure here, industrial infrastructure. But now they are selling the, means So it's one shot I can say, like, the authorities are playing a role of, like, property dealer, nothing extra on that. So as of now, nowadays they are working as a property
Okay,
dealer, and builder
authorities
are
need to
business are
also answer.
correct.
Okay, Ranjana Bharadwaj, now, when it comes to taking the payment from these home buyers, these companies are quite prompt, these builders are quite prompt, but when it comes to delivering the project on time, that has not really happened in not just one, but so many projects. And the situation has come to a point today that the Supreme Court, in fact, had to in fact give an ultimatum to the builder here that if you do not pay, then be ready to face jail term. That is something which is very, very significant. Why have we even come to this kind of a situation, in your opinion? Ranjana Bharadwaj, can you hear me?
Yes, 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 yes. Actually, this is very heart-wrenching pain when the buyer gives the hardcore money and invests the property for the dream home. And unfortunately, when the buyer comes to know that the property will be demolished, and after that, they are not even they are not even paying the proper return to them. They are calling them to the office and they are telling them, you will be given the amount, that too in the installments, and that too the some amount will be cut. Why is it so? If the buyer had invested the property in some other area, their property had certainly been hiked, and I think the builders should give the rate of interest. They should be giving the more money to them rather than deducting the money and not giving them the money in the time. So this is very painful, and government should see to it that buyers should get their money with interest.
Okay. Anand Gupta, your chairperson, Housing and RERA Committee of Builders Association. Yes, Ms. Bharadwaj.
Yeah, if I talk about the Supertech, like I'm also one of the buyer from here. I had booked my flat around 2010, and I have got my flat this year, like October, after 11 years of fight. But still, if I will say, I'm not happy because I don't have any option to take my flat, because to pay EMI and rent simultaneously is difficult for the middle class. Definitely, and that too, I don't know when I will get my registry. I am living in
So
my
you're
flat.
telling us, Ms. Bharadwaj, you actually got your flat after 11 years?
Yeah,
You were
yeah,
promised that
exactly.
11 years. So there
Right,
was a
yes.
delay of about 11 years for you?
Yes, and that too we had fight like anything. That too we have got. We are hardly, I think, seven to eight families in our tower, and I was the first one who had given. I was the first person who had entered in my flat, because it was very painful to pay the EMI and rent together. Even though, if I will say, I'm not happy because I'm not an owner till I get the registry. I'm living illegally in my flat. If God forbid, if some calamity will happen, I can't claim the insurance. And as if I am having the loan with the private bank, I can't switch on to the government bank, because till I won't get the registry. And secondly, the builder is earning a very huge amount on the name of the transfer charges. So there are so many things the people are facing. Sale purchase is not possible. So many problems the people are facing here.
One more question before I go across to Mr. Anand Gupta. Your project was also under Supertech or some other builder?
What is your question, please?
No,
Madam,
Mr. Gupta, that question was for Ms. Ranjana Bharadwaj. One second, Mr. Gupta, I'm just coming to you. Ms. Bharadwaj, you're telling us that you yourself have been a victim of a situation like this. So your house was also by a project from Supertech or some other builder that you're talking about here?
From Supertech Eco Village 1. So earlier I was in Delhi. Then
Okay.
I
now. Okay, so Mr. Anand Gupta, it seems it's the same story as far as this particular builder is concerned, who has been questioned, again and again by the top court, and today a final ultimatum has been given. So there are victims in different parts of Noida and Uttar Pradesh. I mean, why has the situation come to this level, in your opinion, and what can really be done so that this does not happen, so that people don't have to wait for a decade to get their dream home? This is not what was promised to them.
Yeah, I agree that this should not have happened, and such a situation should not have arisen. But one thing we have to understand, that there has not been any regulator in this country till 2017. And everything, whether at the level of local self body, state government, or even all the approving authority, even all the banking institute, have been doing in their own fashion. And this kind of irregularity happening regularly. But having said so, we have to also understand, by this putting these two people, the few directors of this company, can also jeopardize the another 35,000 customers which this company has to give the flat at other projects. Similarly, we have to also understand that the reality in this country exists, that today, out of 8,000 towns, 90% of the towns are having this kind of structure, every second or third structure in this fashion. Out of 650,000 villages in this country, every village, 90% of the village are having no approval from any competent authority. So, and similarly, if you talk about any other city like Mumbai, if we have to say 2,000 plots which belongs to different government agencies are occupied by the slum developer. Supreme Court order, if it is implemented, it is binding on every high court. If everybody start using this order, then understand that so many lakhs and even crore people will have to be evicted, and things cannot run. So I will only say, we expect Supreme Court to give little fair time and another via media to regularize it, or some other via media which Supreme Court feels fit. Ultimately, I can understand they want to fix a very strict, but see, the last 75 years this has not been done. Now suddenly becoming such a strict may not work, or may work for few people, but ultimately.
But then where should these home buyers go, Mr. Anand Gupta? If you don't want Supreme Court to be so strict, then where should these home buyers go? Are we waiting for a similar kind of a situation with another builder tomorrow? I mean, you just heard about another project of the same builder had the similar fate. I mean, Ms. Bhardwaj had to wait for about 11 years to get her own home. And even today, Mr. Gupta, like she was telling us, she and a few other families are living there, but the house has not been registered. She can't transfer her loan from one bank to the other.
See,
where should these people go then?
Whenever I discuss these issues with the association, my members, see, you have to also understand their side. 11 years, no builder can afford to even keep them holding, because it doesn't help them anyway. On the contrary, it costs so many overheads. But the circumstances which exist in this country, approving authority, banking system, and the way things work, it is you will find 99% of the customer in this country are having some kind of complaint against builder. Why? The same thing is not happening in any other business, but this is happening only in this real estate business, mainly because of the defective system, which has only taken correction just 4 years back. And now you can see the fruit of that. And so we have to abide all the rules of RERA. Only the project which are having a RERA registration should be bought one. This probably was done earlier, and that is why this is the situation.
Okay, Mr. Bhushan, you heard what Mr. Anand Gupta had to say. Do you think it was important for Supreme Court to, give this kind of an observation and order today?
Yeah, I think what Mr. Gupta was mentioning was not about the refund that the Supreme Court has ordered. As I understood him correctly, he was saying maybe the Supreme Court should not have been so strict to demolish or to ask for these buildings to be demolished. Now, there I completely disagree with Mr. Gupta.
No, I think also the jail term. The jail term, I believe.
Jail term is only because it's an order of the court, and if you don't comply with the order, it's clear contempt. How can you not comply with an order of the court? The court had, in its August judgment, said you must refund the money paid by these people with 9% or 8% or whatever interest. Now, that had to be complied with. Now, today in the hearing, what transpired, the people who appeared for these home buyers were saying, they called us, they said, we will give you, but we will not give you now, and you give an undertaking that you will not question, and we will cut some money, etc., etc. So when that was narrated to the court was very angry, and they said, there's no question of your cutting any money. We told you very clearly that you must refund the entire money with the interest that we've ordered. And therefore, if you're not complying with it, how do we get you to comply with it except to say that you will be held in contempt and may have to go to jail? It was absolutely correct. This is what the Supreme Court should have done, and this is what they did.
But do you think, Mr. Agarwal, now that is going to serve as a lesson for other builders as well? Because still there are many, many projects which are not getting completed on time. We have a victim here on the show itself, Ms. Bhardwaj, how she herself is saying. Do you think this will serve as a big example, a deterrent?
Yes, certainly this case is a landmark case. It will set a precedent where the builder has not complied with the regulatory requirements and where the builder has tried to deceive home buyers and tried to construct additional stuff or has not refunded the money to buyers on time. In all such cases, this case will certainly prove as a big precedent. Just to add to what Mr. Bhushan said, I think Mr. Gupta has not really understood the facts of this case properly, because this is not just a case where there is a regulatory lapse simpliciter that is there and that in itself should be enough to demolish the building. But in addition to that, in this case, the underlying land had already been sold to various buyers of the previous towers. And then after a regulatory change, when the builder saw it opportune to erect additional towers, the builder took that opportunity and then constructed additional towers, showing that the land which is used for the additional towers does not belong to the previous society in the first place. This was absolutely, preposterous for the builder to do in the first place. And when this entire scheme from the builder came out in the open, then even Noida Authority stopped taking their side. Eventually, now the builder has to demolish the towers because it is a building which has been erected in someone else's garden. And when you demolish something like this, if you have sold that same building to somebody, you will have to refund the money with interest. So there is nothing wrong in the order as such. This is what should have been done, and it has been done. Now, if Supertech chooses not to comply with orders of the Apex Court, there will be no other option left with the court but to send them to jail.
Okay, Mr. Bhushan, of course, we all have an idea that, there was collusion as well. Otherwise, how can a builder do something like this? But I want to ask you the same thing that I asked Mr. Anish Agarwal as well. Do you think this classic case is going to act as a deterrent now? And, we will not see probably something like this happening again?
See, there are two important principles that have been laid down in this case. One, of course, is that if there are regulations saying that you have to maintain a minimum distance between two buildings because it may be a fire hazard, etc., then if that is not complied with, then you may have to face the consequences of demolition. The other and even more important principle that the court has laid down is that if you have utilize the entire land for building a particular project, in this case, some 15 towers, and later on the FAR is increased by Noida, then you cannot construct additional towers without getting the permission of the people who were told, look, there will be only 15 towers in this layout, and these 15 towers are being sold to you. You can't later on construct some 2 additional towers which are 40 stories high. These towers were only 11 stories or something like that. 40 stories high, totally ruining the view, totally ruining the sort of ventilation, etc. of the existing buyers. That you cannot do because that is not contemplated without their permission under the Apartment Buyers Act of Noida. So that's a very, very important principle that the court has laid down. That if you sell somebody these 15 towers, you sold the thing saying that there will be only 15 towers. They bought it. They put all their life savings in it. They are living there for the last several years. Suddenly they find these two huge buildings coming up right 9 meters away from them, totally cutting off their light and air. That is not permissible. So that's a very important principle that has been laid down by the court, which may be applicable to several other builders, and it should be applied. Mr. Gupta is totally wrong saying that it will cause chaos. In fact, the builders are causing chaos by just misusing this whole thing of additional FAR, etc. And without the permission of the existing buyers, just build some monstrosities.
Mr. Gupta, will you like to respond?
Yeah. See, it is not that I'm trying to justify wrongdoing of this particular builder. But we have to also understand Supreme Court is Supreme Court. All the high courts of this country will have to follow this order. And if they start following, I'll just give you an example of Mumbai. 2,000 locations are having a slum, occupying 14 lakh people. 14 lakh dwellers, 60 lakh people. Now, under this, if this order is tallied with that, those are also equally eligible to get demolished. If anybody goes to the Supreme Court with this order, that these all plot belongs to Mahada, corporation, other things. Here, there may not be any builder, but where these 60 lakh people will go. And that kind of situation can exist in every town of this country. So if you just remember the example of Ulhasnagar, Supreme Court had ordered the demolition. And in that case, as the whole city was to be demolished, they have to bring a bill in the assembly to get it regularized. So what I'm trying to say, presently, this kind of irregularity, it is not justified by any scale. Neither I'm here to justify wrongdoing of this. But if it is gone in detail, you will find that every 8,000 towns of this country will require to demolish 50% of their towns. And all the 650,000 villages, those structures or whatever size of house, wherever they are existing, they have not been...
Mr. Agarwal, Mr. Bhushan, can these actually be compared? Mr. Bhushan, to you first.
Not at all. Not at all.
What Mr. Gupta is talking about. Can there be a comparison? Can actually there be a comparison?
Why not? Why not?
Absolutely not. For the simple reason.
All High Court duty bound to follow that. They cannot avoid it.
Mr. Gupta, 1 second. Mr. Gupta, 1 second. Let Mr. Bhushan and Mr. Agarwal respond, then I'll come back to you. Mr. Bhushan first.
Mr. Gupta is saying is that if some slum dwellers are squatting on government land, then they may also have to be evicted. Well, that's a totally different thing. You see, if there are poor people, different considerations may arise as to whether there should be some rehabilitation scheme for them. In Bombay, there are these rehabilitation schemes where the slums are removed. Some buildings are put up to house the slum dwellers, and the builder gets some FAR to build some constructions, etc. So there are all practical ways of dealing with all these things. A completely illegal thing done by a builder certainly cannot be compared with some slums on some land. And if Mr. Gupta if what Mr. Gupta seems to be suggesting is...
No, but here it is about an illegal act by a builder. Mr. Gupta, what Mr. Bhushan is trying to suggest is that here it was an illegal act by the builder, and hence this order has come.
I have already said wrongdoing of this particular builder. I'm not here to justify him. But the same order, if it is implemented in the same spirit, can create a chaos in the whole country.
So according to Mr. Gupta, all illegalities should be allowed and permitted and nothing should be done. Is that what Mr. Gupta is suggesting?
No, I'm saying it should be some other via media has to be worked out. Means just by putting these people in jail is not going to serve any good purpose.
These people will not go to jail if they
How else do you stop them? How else? Okay. And you think they are going to comply with the order? Are you hopeful, Mr. Bhushan?
I'm very hopeful because Supertech is a very large builder. It's not as if they don't have the money to refund these buyers. They were just trying to take advantage of the situation and not refund the full monies. The court has correctly come down very heavily on that and said you must refund the entire money with 9% interest. Otherwise, you will go to jail. And I'm sure they will do it. They have the wherewithal to do it. They have the means to do it. And they don't want to go to jail. They will comply with it. I'm sure of it.
But isn't it wrong, Mr. Anish Agarwal? There is, enough money as far as Supertech is concerned. It's a big builder in parts of Uttar Pradesh. It has the wherewithal as well, but was taking advantage of the situation. I mean, why should the home buyers be suffering like this? For example, what Mr. Bhushan told us earlier, there are about 200 odd families who are yet to receive their own money. What is their fault?
Absolutely, it is the builder's fault. Once an order has been passed by the apex court, then there is no question of not following it. The money should have been refunded with interest within 2 months. Now they have not done that, and they are just trying to, like Mr. Bhushan said, they are trying to take advantage of this situation and almost literally trying to threaten all the home buyers to enter into settlements for smaller amounts so that they can get their money easily. And this, even after the order of the Honorable Apex Court, which is really shocking to say the least. On the other point that Mr. Gupta had raised, if his argument is accepted, then there is no point of having any regulations because then everything has to be regularized. That is one aspect. And second is, then the entire concept of property law will be redundant and will not be relevant. Because once undivided interest in some land has already been sold to some home buyers in other towers, how can that land be again taken by the builder for building additional towers? This is completely absurd. And if you come to a conclusion that the tower has to be demolished, then it has to ultimately go and monies have to be refunded. If the builder has indulged in illegality, it has to pay the price.
Mr. Gupta, quick response, then I'll go across to Anupam Mishra.
See, right now, I mean, nothing to defend because Supreme Court has already ordered. Now, probably, I'm saying some fair time, some via media has to be worked out. This example, if it is implemented, that I'm just cautioning, and if it is implemented by all the affected people throughout the country, there can be a chaos, and we cannot afford chaos. Now, my other colleagues in the panel, as they have whether Supreme Court should not order such a no. I am no one to say such a thing. Supreme Court is all powerful, all supreme.
Okay.
To order.
Well, clearly it was a one-off case, and I don't think, the comparison that you are making is going to be valid here, as it has already been explained by senior advocates here on the show, Mr. Bhushan, senior advocate, Supreme Court, and advocate, Supreme Court, Anish Agarwal as well. Okay, let me go across to Anupam Mishra as well. Now, Anupam, there are many towers surrounding these twin towers as well. And I believe you also are, somewhere in the vicinity. So what kind of concerns do you have? Because once again, the Supreme Court has reiterated that the towers will have to be immediately demolished.
See, I agreed with the that demolish part of the the order from the Supreme Court. It's late, but now we appreciate the order and the permission given from the Supreme Court, and I'm sure that there will be a proper process for that for demolish that particular two towers. And I am also one more thing appealing. It's not only that tower should be demolished. At least their personal properties should be also kept it from the builder's hand, because they are enjoying from their Mercedes, BMWs, and they have multiple properties in Malaysia and Singapore just because of our buyers money. So they should that property should also kept on, because they are enjoying, to be very frank. They are not feeling because they started these type of societies on a roti kapda and makan, right? Abhi situation ये है कि रोटी कपड़ा मकान के नाम पे हमारे पास ना मकान है ना रोटी, अब तो कपड़े की भी हालत ऐसी हो गई. तो बायर्स की जो सिचुएशन है वो मतलब इससे इन्हें कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। इवन इवन रेगुलर बेसिस पे ये जो कंस्ट्रक्शन अभी ये क्या कर रहे हैं कि ये लोग बोल रहे हैं कि नहीं, ये अपने जो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स हैं उनको ये बोल रहे हैं आप हमसे फ्लैट ले लो और हमारे टावर्स बना दो। तो इस तरह की सिचुएशंस मतलब आ गई है कि पूरा पैसा इनके पास आ रहा है, पूरा का पूरा इन्होंने पैसा ले रखा है और बायर से 95% तक का पूरा लेने के बाद भी इनको आज तक इन लोगों ने कभी किसी को फ्लैट नहीं दे पाए। 10 साल से पहले इन्होंने ये स्टार्ट किया था कि रोटी कपड़ा मकान के नाम पे इन्होंने लाखों की जमीनें ले ली। मैं तो आई एम वेरी श्योर लाइक नो कि अगर अगर ये 2 टावर गिरते हैं तो डेफिनेटली इससे इससे आई एम श्योर कि लाइक नो इसमें मैं ये तो नहीं बोल सकता कि जो आज जो बायर्स जो जिन लोगों ने इतने पैसे इन्वेस्ट किए उसमें से बहुत से लोग आज होंगे, बहुत से लोग डिप्रेशन में हैं, बहुत से लोग मेंटल ट्रॉमा से गुजर रहे हैं, राइट? कई लोग इस दुनिया में है भी नहीं। सो ऐसे भी लोग हैं जिनको जिनको आज जा करके जो है कि ये इस तरह के ऑर्डर्स मिले हैं, मतलब उनके लिए ये ऑर्डर्स ठीक है, इसको डिमोलिश तो आप कर रहे हैं, लेकिन इससे बिल्डर को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है, कोई ज्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है। इससे फर्क उसको तब पड़ेगा ना जब उसकी खुद की पर्सनल प्रॉपर्टी सीज होगी, राइट? बिकॉज दे आर इंजॉइंग, आप आकर के देख सकते हो, राइट? दे आर कमिंग ऑन इको विलेज 1, इको विलेज 2, अदर देयर अदर प्रोजेक्ट्स, and they are enjoying very like smartly, like they are playing with the monies. Now again, like they are routing the monies also, so it's not like uh, there will be a much impact with this, but yeah, the buyers like who invested and they will be getting the refund. आप बात कर रहे हैं refund की, right? I'm telling you the one good picture of the refund, that when we have any dues, they asked for 24% of the refund, right? But if they need to pay something, then they will be paying like with 5% of the amount, right? अभी कोर्ट के ऑर्डर के बाद 12% मिल रहा है। Why 12%, right? Because अभी अथॉरिटी इनसे बोल रही है कि तुम मेरे को 18% में, आप मेरे को 18% के इंटरेस्ट पे आप मेरा जो ड्यूज है, जो मेरा जो लैंड ड्यूज है, जो मेरा लीज ड्यूज है, उसको आप पे करो 18% के। तो दे मूव टू कोर्ट, राइट? कि नो वी कैन नॉट पे 18%, वी विल बी पेइंग विद द एसबीआई एमसीएलआर, जो कि अभी रनिंग सुप्रीम कोर्ट में एक केस चल रहा है, यू नो दैट, लाइक इट्स नॉट फॉर सुपरटेक, फॉर ऑल for all builders, like against the authorities and all. So मतलब जब इनको देना आता है तो ये when they need to pay, they are like crying for like SBI MCLR rate, and when we need to like pay, then we need to pay 24% of the interest. So see the situation यहाँ पे क्या है कि because buyers middle class के साथ प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि वो बेचारा मंडे टू फ्राइडे अपनी नौकरी करता है, सैटरडे संडे उसके पास 2 दिन बचता है, या तो प्रोटेस्ट कर ले या तो अपने फैमिली को टाइम दे दे। सिचुएशन ये है, पिछले 4.5 years से like I am suffering the same things. My wife is saying like that you don't have time to like that sit with us and like at least like discuss with families anything, any personal things and all. हर संडे सैटरडे हमें ये सिचुएशन है कि हमें या तो गौर चौक पे हम खड़े होते हैं, या तो नोएडा की किसी चौक पे खड़े होके हम जिंदाबाद मुर्दाबाद के नारे लगा रहे होते। But still nobody is going to listen things, to be very frank, right? And I respect Supreme Court कि at least आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट के इंटरफेयर के बाद कुछ चीजें कहीं ना कहीं मतलब 20% चीजें कहीं ना कहीं 10-20% चीजें ठीक हुई हैं, बट 80-90% सेम सिचुएशन है। अभी तक कुछ चेंजेस नहीं हुआ है अगर मैं इसकी बात करूं तो। सो सिंपल सी बात है, आप उस चीज को सोचो कि एक मिडिल क्लास फैमिली जिसको आपने स्मार्ट सिटी की बातें बोली, राइट? स्मार्ट सिटी के बाद पे आपने उसको बोला कि स्मार्ट सिटी में मैं इतनी बड़ी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर दूंगा, ये दूंगा। अभी तक चीजें कोई भी लाइक ऑन ग्राउंड नहीं है। स्मार्ट सिटी के नाम पे ये है कि कभी प्लास्टर गिर जाता है, कभी बालकनी गिर जाती है। सो दिस इज द सिचुएशन, राइट? ऑन द बिल्डर्स व्हाट दे आर लाइक प्रोवाइडिंग इन द स्मार्ट सिटी।
नहीं, जो आप बात कह रहे हैं वो बिल्कुल ठीक है, बिकॉज when it comes to taking money from the home buyers, of course, notices keep coming. Even before time, the notices are sent that this is the money that's now due, paid within this particular period. But then when it comes to delivering on the promises, there's no accountability, and something that we have seen in this classic case of this builder, Supertech. Ranjana Bharadwaj, I want to give you the last word.
I would like to update one thing, that there is a regulatory RERA, right? I can say on a very single way, the RERA अभी क्या कर रहा है, राइट? RERA अगर मैं बोलूँ ना कि वो बिना कारतूस की बंदूक है, that is the good part for RERA, right? RERA का कोई रोल नहीं है, we already lodge a 100 buyers lodge a complaint in RERA for to against Eco Village 1, 2, 3 and builders and other societies too, but still there is no resolutions from the RERA. So रेरा का कोई मतलब ही नहीं, रेरा के पास कोई पावर नहीं है, इवन ना कि आज तक एक भी आरसी जारी नहीं हुई है उनके इस पे। इतने बार मतलब हर एक चीज के लिए अगर मुझे सुप्रीम कोर्ट जाना हुआ और हाई कोर्ट जाना हुआ what is the use
Well,
of
those
RERA
are genuine
in
concerns.
UP?
Those are genuine concerns you are raising, Anupa Mishra, and you've said it correctly. Why should every home buyer eventually head to the Supreme Court for a solution in a situation like this? Ranjana Bhardwaj, I want to give you the last word. Do you also see a ray of hope now with the kind of order coming from the Supreme Court today? Hopefully, things will start getting better.
I don't think RERA has played much role in the favor of buyer. Sometimes I feel RERA is totally biased, that always favors to the builder only. So for me, if you'll take my opinion, I think RERA is no use of no use for the buyers. They have never given the positive hope to the buyers. It's just, I think, the melodrama which Yogi ji has assigned the bench of RERA. I'm not satisfied with the RERA bench.
All right. I appreciate all of you for joining us on this debate on Mirror Now this evening. We can really hope that the home buyers finally get their money soon. An ultimatum, in fact, has now come from the top court today. With this, we will slip into another very, very short break, but there's lots lined up for you on the other side as well. Don't go anywhere.